All right, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're not just looking at a school, we're going deep undercover to decode the DNA of one of Britain's most storied institutions, St. Paul's. Our mission is to figure out what truly makes it tick. Let's get started. So, what do I even mean by a school's DNA? Well, it's not about the buildings or the exam results. Not really. It's the unwritten rules, the hidden traditions, the very soul of the place. We're on the hunt for clues to piece together the core identity of St. Paul's. First up, we need to understand the social contract. This is the unspoken agreement between the students and the staff. It's the invisible force that dictates the whole vibe of the place, day in and day out. Most schools fall into one of two camps. You've got your ship-shaped schools, very high discipline, lots of structure, and then you've got your self-starter schools, way more liberal and focused on independence. St. Paul's, it is firmly, and I mean firmly, in that second camp. Honestly, it feels a lot more like a university than a high school. And here is our first major piece of evidence. For the final 2 years, what they call the 8th form, there's no school uniform. Now, this isn't just about letting students pick their own clothes. No way. This is a massive signal. It says, we trust you. We see you as young adults. It's a culture built on mutual respect, not on rigid rules. This one clue tells you so much. Okay, next clue. Every community, every tribe has its own unique language, right? And St. Paul's is no exception. If you want to understand this place, you have to learn to speak the local dialect. Take a look at this number, 153. What on earth could that mean for a school? It seems totally random, but as we're about to find out, sometimes the weirdest little details hold the biggest stories. So it turns out 153 is anything but random. The school's founder, John Collegiate, specifically decreed there should be 153 scholars, which is a direct reference to the miraculous draught of fishes in the Bible. And get this, that tradition is still alive. Junior scholars today actually wear a little silver fish on their lapels. Amazing, right? Then there's this word, Apposition. Today, it's a big, fancy prize-giving ceremony, but it started out as something much more intense. It was basically an annual performance review for the headmaster, where the governors would literally oppose him to decide if he was doing a good enough job. And believe me, this wasn't just for show. This process had real teeth. Back in 1748, a high master was actually fired at the Apposition, apparently after he threatened to assault his deputy. So this isn't just some cute, quaint tradition. It's a piece of living history that shows you just how seriously this place takes its own standards. So we've looked at the social rules and the secret language, but what does it all create? What's the final product? Let's investigate the archetype of the old Pauline, the school's alumna. The whole philosophy here is about fostering what they call unfettered intellectual curiosity. It's not just about cramming your head with facts to pass an exam. The real goal is to teach students how to think, to build independent, curious minds that aren't afraid to ask big questions. And you can see that thread running through centuries of alumni. We're talking about John Milton and Samuel Pepys in the 17th century, the astronomer Edmund Halley, Field Marshal Montgomery, and more recently, Sir Robert Winston. You see, the product isn't a particular job, it's a type of person, influential, fiercely independent, and always pushing the envelope. The most interesting institutions are always full of contradictions. And at St. Paul's, there's this absolutely fascinating productive tension between two powerful competing ideas. So on one hand, you have this incredibly deep tradition. St. Paul's is one of the original Clarendon Nine, which were basically identified in the 19th century as the absolute pinnacle of the British establishment. It doesn't get much more traditional than that. But then there's this. 114 million pounds. That's how much they just dropped on a massive, ultra-modern redevelopment of the school. This is clearly not an institution that's content to just live in the past. And that's the tension right there. Deep, ancient tradition clashing with radical modernity. It's a place that profoundly honors its past while investing, and I mean aggressively investing, in its future. It's this exact duality that makes its characters so dynamic and unique. Okay, for our final clue, let's look at the physical space itself, because at a place like St. Paul's, the story is literally written in the bricks and mortar. 45 acres. Let that sink in. In London, that's basically a small country. This is not some cramped urban school. It's a massive, sprawling campus right on the River Thames. And that incredible sense of space is a huge part of that university-like feeling we talked about. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? You can have students deep in a double Latin class, and right outside their window, this school's elite rowing team is gliding by on the river. It's that perfect blend of hardcore scholarship and top-tier sport, all happening in the same moment. The campus isn't just a backdrop. It's an active part of the narrative.
So let's recap our investigation. What did we find? We found a liberal, collegiate social contract, a unique tribal language steeped in history, an archetypal product, the independent scholar, a powerful tension between ancient roots and modern vision, and a physical campus that inspires it all. That, right there, is the DNA of St. Paul's. So, we've cracked the code. We've decoded the DNA, but it leaves us with one final massive question. When an institution has an identity this strong, this defined, how does it evolve? What does the next chapter look like for a place with 500 years of history already behind it? Now that is something to think about.